We are
All right.
live.
Welcome in. A very happy Saturday to you now, the 16th of May. It is WagerTalk's last call. Joe Raineri in for the wonderful Kelly Stewart. She'll be back again next week. Doesn't mean we don't have a lot to talk about here today. Plenty of Major League Baseball. The Preakness coming up here today. Nobody better to talk to than Marco D'Angelo. And, of course, the Prez will make an appearance as well. We got a pretty important hockey game coming up. And then when you put it all together, a little UFC, you got a little something for everybody here today. So last call it is, and no better way to start it off than with our man VR, Gianni the Greek, ready to roll here today. As we've got, Gianni, really a little something for everyone today, except, I guess, basketball, but we'll have plenty more of that still coming up, my man.
Indeed, and shout out to my man, Block. If you're running cold, brother, I'm there with you. I've been running cold. The last, 2-3 weeks have been like that for me, with a couple good days in between to give me, a glimmer of we're now on the plus side, and then it just another cold day yesterday. It's just the ride during the year. I keep it real. That's why I love having the steam room each and every week. And we'll have one today at 1 p.m. Eastern, because it keeps me accountable, where I got to come back in, face my subscribers who trust me to make them profitable if they follow along in 2026. And so far, we were doing exactly that. But these last few weeks have cost us. And as long as you're managing risk correctly, we're okay. But that's the key. That's the big takeaway that I'm going to focus on the steam room today, is making sure we're prepared to overcome any cold streak, because the information's solid and it continues to come in every market. And as long as we are alive to fire, we'll be just fine. Again, the law of big numbers gives us the edge, but in the small sample size, that there's a lot of randomness involved. With all that said, I have for you today, I have Major League Baseball. I have a little NHL action. I have a NBA action. I just picked up my power ratings for the World Cup. I had my guy dig deep, and he's got me set up with the top 30 teams already. So wherever you want to take it, brother, you want to talk baseball, hockey. Oh, we even got MMA today.
Yeah.
I know. I'll listen to Marco for the horses, so we could skip the Preakness, because I'm going to stick around just to hear what Marco has to say. You want to listen to guys that have a history of being profitable in that particular market. And when it comes to horses, there's no one at WagerTalk that's going to share more valuable information than Marco's going to share, or more actionable information than Marco's going to share. So I have nothing for the Preakness. That's the only thing I don't have anything for.
Well, that's all right. We'll skip it, just like all the horses in the Kentucky Derby did there, Gianni. No problem. Let's start, though. I mean, a huge card here. Major League Baseball, some afternoon action. Run it down for us, man. What do we got going today?
Yes, sir. I'll read straight off the steam sheet, because there's a ton of baseball already. They fired overnight, then followed through this morning. Let me hit the ones that got a lot of follow through. 2-3 sides that stuck out big time. 965 Cincinnati. They took out the 155s. They took out the 150s. They took out the 145s. They did the same thing with Boston, 973. Boston, they took out 45. They took out 40. They took out plus 135. They took out plus 130. They took out plus 125. So those two dogs they like a lot. And then a favorite that they bet was Seattle, 976 Seattle, minus 150, 155, and 160. Now, heading into yesterday's action, there were 5 series bets placed by betting syndicates I have access to. These are the 5 series bets they placed. They took the White Sox plus 130. They took Seattle minus 190. They took the Mets plus 145. They took St. Louis at even money. And they took San Francisco at plus 150. Now, 4 of those 5 teams lost game 1. The only team that won game 1 was St. Louis. So they need White Sox, Seattle, Mets, and San Francisco. I'll repeat. They need White Sox, Seattle, Mets, and San Francisco all to win today to have a shot at either hitting that series or hedging that series come Sunday. Now, I can already tell you, they do believe the Mets will get the W against the Yankees today, because they took out plus 120 and plus 115. And they believe San Francisco will get the W as well at plus 120. I haven't seen anything on the White Sox matchup. Haven't seen much on St. Louis either. But a couple totals for you. They went under 12 in that Arizona-Colorado game. They went over 8 in Philly-Pittsburgh. They went over 9.5 in Baltimore-Washington. Kind of got ahead of the public there. They're betting that over as well. And finally, the over 8 in Cincinnati and Cleveland. So a lot of baseball info for you to digest, but you should be able to extract some good positions from that information for Saturday.
Gianni, in addition to a tremendous amount of baseball action that we've got going on here today, it was an interesting night in the NBA. We got a game 7 coming up here. And then, of course, I think everyone believes we have what should be the championship between San Antonio and OKC. But game 7, always interesting here. Did you... anybody that you've seen, I mean, are they jumping out in front here? Are they waiting to see what happens with the market? How are they approaching it?
They laid the 4 immediately on the Detroit side. No surprise, because remember, game 1, Detroit was -3.5. They won and covered that game. Game 2, Detroit was 3.5. They won and covered that game. When they came back in game 5, Detroit was 3.5 again. Cleveland wins outright. Now, this is a do or die, obviously, game 7. They brought it out a half point higher at 4, and Sharps hit it immediately. Why? Because that's where they believe the public's going to line up. So at worst, they'll get closing line value, because this line should continue to move upwards in the side of Detroit, because history points to that being the right side. In the NBA quarterfinals, this win and loss sequence has only happened 4 times, where the home team wins the first 2, then the other team wins their 2 games, and then the home team for the series loses game 5 but wins game 6 on the road, like Detroit did yesterday. Those teams won game 7 at home all 5 times. They've never lost, all 4 times, forgive me, they never lost a game 7 in this quarterfinal. Now, in all the NBA playoffs, it's happened 10 times. 9 out of 10 times, that team in Detroit's position won game 7 at home. More importantly, zoom out a little bit. You look at NBA playoffs, all the playoffs. It doesn't matter the round. Game 7, the team playing at home has won about 72% of the game 7s at home. So a lot of history on the side of Detroit. But with that said, the spread does become the great equalizer. And if you like Detroit, you probably shouldn't be waiting, because once it gets up to that 5.5 range, if it does, again, they could win the game and not cover. Haven't seen anything on the total so far, but the few public bets that have come in, surprisingly, probably not because of game 7, and that's the trend, have been on the under. But again, nothing really stuck out on the total. I know the Sharps went under the immediate opener of 207, but that was like one limit bet moved it to 205. So I don't even consider that like a sharp, really sharp move. It's what it's going to do now at 4.5 and 205.5. And we'll see the move over the next 24 hours. I don't think we're going to see much movement. If anything, we'll probably see 5s on Cleveland. And that'll be interesting to see then if any Sharps pick off those 5s.
What have you seen, Gianni? Have you seen a lot more action towards the totals in these NBA playoffs, especially here in the second round? Because it feels like the spreads are pretty much what you see is what you get, but the totals seem to be all. We got competing groups going both ways. It goes up a point, 1.5, comes back down. Has it been like that? Have you noticed that throughout?
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening. And coming into the playoffs, I talked about that most of the stuff I'm going to be betting on comes from the power ratings and my own experience, because the groups that I work with bet very few sides. They do attack some totals, but it's mostly props, team totals, second halves, in-game wagering. That's usually how they attack the playoffs, because, again, this late in the season, odds makers have all the data, a big sample size. They should have really good numbers. Where we benefit is that they have to shade that line towards biases of the bettors. That's where we're able to take advantage of some signs. But otherwise, you're absolutely right. It's been all totals. And yesterday, a great example of when did you bet it? In Cleveland and Detroit, that game landed 209. Now, you could have won that game whether you bet over or under, depending on where you bet it and when you bet it. And that just shows you, again, when it comes to playoff time, we're reminded to really shop for the best line because, again, not all the games, few games will land near the number, but when they do, that's the difference between being a winning bettor and a losing bettor. Let's break it down real quickly. The difference between a winning bettor and a losing bettor is one bet out of every 20. That's correct. So if you go 10-10 every 20 bets, you will go broke, meaning that the VIG is going to eat you up eventually. If you go 11-9 and manage your risk correctly, you could make a living doing nothing else but betting sports. That one bet every 20 is the difference between being able to profit betting sports or feeding the bookmaker. One out of every 20. That's why it's so key to shop for good numbers and have a lot of outs, even if you're not using them. Just because that difference in that half point, like last night, is the differentiator between being profitable or, being a losing action better. So yeah, definitely even in the playoffs and more importantly, regular season. I mean, even in the regular season, make sure you're always shopping for best numbers, especially on these totals, because they do move more significantly than the sides.
Kind of crazy here. Stick with the hardwood, VR.
Yes,
how about the WNBA? Have you noticed anything? We're a handful of games into the season here, and we already know it's all sharp action one way or the other.
Yeah.
So what have you noticed so far early on?
And I'm loving it. I'm loving it because that's exactly what it is. It's the sharps versus the books. And it's hard to get a lot of money down, but you're able to get decent numbers. But they're very nervous. Meaning as soon as there's a limit bet, they're adjusting quickly because they're not going to get risk on the other side. There's not public money really betting this stuff. So I don't blame them. But because of that, here's where you got to pay attention to WNBA. Be careful what you're seeing on the screen. Because when it's the books against the wise guys and there's no market, okay, they have to create their own liquidity. So what they have to do is they're forced to bet on screen one way and then bet off screen the other way. So they're creating liquidity on screen by betting team A, getting the market move in that direction. And then there's a lot of sharp guys like myself that monitor markets, read lines, try to get ahead of other books. So we see that, and then we're trying to get ahead of that move as well. All of a sudden, that freaks out the books. So that -4 is now -6, -6.5 for no real apparent reason other than this account bet it. Now, all of a sudden, 30 minutes before game time, sometimes 10 minutes before game time, they're betting the other side like 5, 7, 10x to what they did early. And it never, ever really even shows up on screen because it's happening so late. So be very careful drawing conclusions off line moves this early in the season because the sharp bettors know that they have to manipulate the books because they are the only players in that market right now. So again, do not draw your conclusions off of line moves. If you don't have solid power ratings or don't handicap, follow the WNBA, maybe wait a month or two into the season and then start getting involved. It's because other bettors will. They're not going to have NBA playoffs. They're not going to have NHL playoffs. And with Major League Baseball, they're going to mix in some WNBA. It happens every year.
Yeah. It's amazing here. Well, no WNBA here today. You mentioned you got the Steam Room coming up. Is there, what about the UFC card? Anything standing out to you here?
Yeah, that line keeps dropping on the main event, and I'm a little bit surprised because I get it. Costa's coming in red hot, but Allen's got all the experience. And when you're talking strength of the schedule, it's not even close. And all the sharp bettors I spoke to that I respect, they all say they like Allen, but it's not showing up yet on the line because when these guys bet, I don't care how much public money's the other way. They're going to move the market. And yet I woke up this morning expecting Allen to move back up to that -140, 150 range. And that's just not the case. So that one's a little bit sticking out to me a lot. And then the other one that I'm seeing sharps lining up on a favorite, you don't really see this, is Wellmaker over Juan Diaz. They expect Wellmaker to bounce back. He's coming off his first loss against Ewing. And this kid Diaz is as tough as they come. He's not getting this fight by accident, debuting against Wellmaker off his Contender Series win, but he comes from that Entrum gym in Mexico. This kid's really well-rounded. So be careful following that steam on Wellmaker. Give you an actionable play for you real quickly. It's too juicy. I bet Gurulé. I gave out Gurulé to my subscribers at even money minus 105, but he's now up to minus 150. So unfortunately, not the value's been extracted there. I'll give you MVP. I did bet Mike Perry over Nate Diaz. I just think with the Diaz, you're paying for that name recognition, and he's not going to be able to get a takedown at 41 years old and use his crazy jiu-jitsu. It's going to be a stand-up fight, and even though he has a reach advantage, Perry's got the boxing edge, I believe, and the power edge, and he's been more active fighter. So I do like Perry. I think the true line should be minus 300 on where he wins the fight 3 out of 4 times. I get it. Diaz lover. I'm a huge Diaz fan as well. But I got to put my money where the value is. So I'm all over Mike Perry tonight in that MVP on Netflix.
Is it crazy, Gianni, that I would much rather see that fight in a bar than in the cage?
Oh, yeah, out in the backyard for sure. Then I might take Diaz. I might look to the Diaz side if there's no referee or an octagon.
Absolutely.
An octagon and a rep, I got to look to the Perry side.
Right. Well, yeah, you got to go a little more straight up, but I'd much rather that
technique. Go with technique.
Bar. Absolutely.
And the street technique don't help you.
It's not going to help it.
If I got a baseball bat, your technique ain't going to do shit.
Ain't doing nothing for you. All right, Gianni, what do you got coming up here today? We got the steam room. What's locked and loaded over your page at WagerTalk?
I combined the MMA package as one, the UFC MMVP, because I have bets in both. Plays will continue to be added up until about 4 p.m. Eastern. I have the steam sheet. I took my time putting up the steam sheet today. It has NBA, NHL, a lot of Major League Baseball, really sharp stuff. I'm going to add WNBA to it if anything comes out early for tomorrow's action, and any MMA that comes close but doesn't make it to premium. So steam sheet's up only $19, and there's 2 4% in there. 2 4% I gave out today because I'm coming off a bad day where I lost my 5%. So I'm giving a little bonus. Both are in NHL. And more importantly, I'm sitting number 1 in profit in NHL this season. So hopefully that continues. And for that $19, you get 2 4%. And we hit that NHL game tonight and make some money. So best of luck to all. And let's keep grinding, baby.
What it's all about, Gianni. Good luck, brother. We'll see you a little bit later here on the steam sheet. Still much to come here, guys. On last call, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And as long as you're here hanging out with us, do not forget, write this coupon code down, BUCK, B-U-C-K. That's right, BUCK, B-U-C-K. That's going to give picks and parlays, your very first daily package for $1 using that coupon code BUCK. And by the way, it'll give you unlimited plays at Sports Memo today for $5 each using that code SM5. So 2 coupon codes, 2 sites, picks and parlays. Use that coupon code BUCK. You get that first package for, that's right, $1. And over at Sports Memo today, unlimited plays, $5. Use that coupon code SM5. All right, we got the Prez coming up a little bit later. We're going to talk about this elimination game in the NHL, but let's bring him in, the Godfather. Hell, it's been a hot minute here. The one and only Mr. Marco D'Angelo in the house, getting ready to roll because here we go, the Preakness in 2026, Marco, and yeah, not at Pimlico. It's at Laurel Park. So what the hell am I supposed to do with Laurel, with all the Pimlico stats we have now that you're racing at Pimlico? And now we have nobody from the Kentucky Derby worth of mentioning in this race. What the hell are they doing here, Marco?
Yeah, and to top it off, only 4,800 people are going to get to see it live because they had to limit the people that they could let in at Laurel. So, yes, it's going to be a unique Preakness this year. But you know what, Joe? Honestly, it's a very good betting board because there is no clear-cut favorite in this year's field. And, sometimes people say, oh, it's a watered-down field. That's not exciting. If you're a bettor, that's exactly what you want, is a wide open race and you've got a full field. When was the last time you saw 14 horses in the Preakness? Doesn't matter what track it's at. Never happens that often. So I'm excited about the race. I think it is a great betting race. And I like a horse in here pretty good. It's going to be kind of ironic when I tell you who I like and if this horse pulls this off, because as you said, the Kentucky Derby horses are bypassing, the majority of them bypass the Preakness. And it's been a trend that we've seen the last couple of years, Joe. And, the debate is about the 5 weeks. Everybody talks about that, and it's been that way forever. But one of the reasons the last couple years that's made it easier for people to skip the Preakness is because the Belmont was the race that people skipped, because the Belmont was 1.5 miles, Joe. All right. The last 3 years, the Belmont's not 1.5 miles because it's at Saratoga. Well, Belmont's being renovated. So people that would have skipped the Preakness to point to the Belmont, are doing it. They're not doing it because of the 1.5 miles. Now they're saying, you know what? It's easier to race the Belmont. We don't have to go 1.5 miles. Let's skip the Preakness and keep our horse fresh. And that was, the case last year with Sovereignty, who probably would have won a Triple Crown had he ran all three. Okay. But what did we get from that? We got the horse of the year, and we got him back for a 4-year-old. And that's what people are, missing about this, is that both of those, big horses from last year, and throw in, I'm talking journalism and Sovereignty, and throw in Baeza, we got 3 of the top horses back for 4-year-old campaigns. And that's better for the sport than anything else that we could have.
Well, people forgot. Secretariat ran 700 races by the time he was 3 years old. Like, stop it. Like, it's a different era. It's totally, most of these horses at 3-year-olds now, Marco, what are they? 2 races, 3 races at top, and asking them to do it within a 5-week period. You got to evolve. And unfortunately, they haven't evolved it, and this is what you're going to get. But you mentioned there is no clear-cut favorite here. So am I detecting a sense of maybe some telephone numbers we're looking at here in this race? We got long shots lined up. What are you thinking?
Well, here's the thing. The pace of this race on paper sets up to be a torrid pace. There's like 5 or 6 horses that want the lead. The rail horse, number 1, Taj Mahal, that's the local story. 3 for 3 at the Laurel track. So home track advantage, so to speak. You've got a female trainer. Oh, what happened? We just had a female trainer win the Kentucky Derby. And, she was blasted all over the place doing a media tour when she won the Kentucky Derby. So and Sherry DeVoe is a very good trainer. Brittany Russell, the trainer of Taj Mahal, actually has, even better numbers. She's been one of the top trainers in Maryland for some time now. So any casual women bettors, and I don't want to sound racist or sexist here, but they're going to bet her, okay, in the story, because this story gets even better. Not only do we have the female trainer, guess who's the jockey on this horse? Her husband, okay? And this is a $550,000 yearling that was originally tagged to go to Bob Baffert and then ended up in her barn and undefeated. But here's the thing. 3 for 3 hasn't raced against a quality, field yet. This is going to be a major test, and has been loose on the lead. Horses loose on the lead swell up, braven up. And, when you don't have to look a horse, in the eye the whole way around the track, it's much different for that horse on the front end. There's 5 other speed horses in this race. One of them is Napoleon Solo that's going to go out of there. And then that's the 10 horse. The 11 horse is another horse that's going to go out of there. So if this sets up the way it looks on paper, it's going to set up for somebody that's off the pace. And as much as you want to make the to-do about going from the Derby to the Preakness, that 2-week stretch, the horses that do show up from the Derby to the Preakness, history has shown us they run very well. And we got 3 of them that are coming from the Derby. One of them has no shot. That's Robusto. Throw that one out. But then there's 2 other horses. The horse that finished 3rd, Ocello, and The horse I like a lot in here, Incredible. Incredible was making a move. And when he started his move, Joe, at the top of the stretch, he was side by side with Renegade. And Renegade went on to only lose by a nose. But what happened in that stretch run is Renegade lunged in, I should say, and pushed Incredible inside. And what it cost him is they were going for the same hole, and it closed the hole off on Incredible, and he had to check the horse. Once, and that let Renegade get free and move on to finish where he did. Incredible had to check, lose momentum, then got back out and came back on to finish sixth, only beaten by 4 lengths. I think Incredible's sitting on a big race here today, and here's where the twist is. They weren't going to enter him, and this horse is trained by Riley Mott. And if you don't know who Riley Mott is, you do know who his dad is. His dad is Bill Mott, and Bill Mott is the one that skipped the Preakness last year with Sovereignty. And this horse has been training very well in the morning since the Kentucky Derby, has shown no wear and tear from that race. So good that he considered at the last minute, hey, I might put him in the Preakness. And he talked it over with his dad, and his dad said, yes, put him in. And how ironic would that be for Riley Mott to get his first Triple Crown winner off the advice of his dad that didn't race in the Preakness last year. So there's your irony, my friend.
I love it. Now, listen, speaking of iron, though, but what about Iron Honor? Morning line favorite, Chad Brown. A lot of people talking about this horse, thinking, hey, don't sleep on Chad Brown. Been here and done this before, but I don't know. You giving this horse a shot?
Well, the reason for that is because this is a play out of the Chad Brown playbook. Skip the Kentucky Derby and go to the Preakness. He's done it twice, early voting and cloud computing in recent years, and people are looking at that. There's a little bit of a difference between Iron Honor and those other 2 horses. This horse is coming off a horrible last race. Now, the question being, do we just put a line through that last race and say, hey, he didn't get the trip he wanted, but go back and look at all the other races? And if you do that, it puts him right here in this race. What concerns me is I think Chad is kind of maybe pushing the panic button because he's making an equipment change coming into this race. And everybody made a big to-do in the Kentucky Derby about Chief Wallaby making an equipment change with blinkers. And I know, Joe, from our days on Pony Pundits, we have a lot of fun with blinkers on and blinkers off. And people were losing their mind because no Kentucky Derby horse had won making that change going into the Derby. I was on Chief Wallaby, and Chief Wallaby had a horrible trip and still finished 4th. Okay. They made the change not because Chief Wallaby was racing bad. Chief Wallaby was just getting beat by, a nose, a neck, in 3/4 of a length. He was right there in all of the races. They were trying to fine tune that horse. There's a difference. And the horse only had a couple starts. So they really didn't have him totally hung up correctly. This horse has had starts. They're making a change because they're coming off a bad race, which tells me they're grasping here. And that concerns me a little bit with this horse. If he reverts back, yes, he's going to be in the mix. I have him underneath in my exotics because I'm not going to have him beat me by running there. But this is a horse that's going to take, I think, too much money based on the history. And like you said, this ain't at Pimlico. This is at Laurel. A little different.
Kind of crazy. Very, very good. Throw out all those Pimlico stats. They mean nothing here. Marco, so it's a huge card, though, coming up here today. So without a doubt, your card locked and loaded over at WagerTalk.com. You got a full card here today at Laurel?
We're going to have probably a total of 5 races on the card. I don't play every single race. My dad taught me early on, you can beat a race, but you can't beat the races. So we picked the spots, Joe, and it's a good card, good undercard. There's some really competitive races. And if you're somebody that likes to play pick 5s, they are doing something special for the horse bettors at Laurel today. Only a 12% takeout on the pick 5 wagers. That's one of the lowest in the industry. And that for advantage players, that's huge. That leaves more money in the betting pools. And as we know in these Triple Crown races, we talk so much, there's a lot of dead money in these betting pools. So if they're going to give us more, a bigger, retention for the players, that's good. And that's, one of the bright spots in a racing industry. And that's for a whole nother podcast, but CAWs that are, hurting, racing, and they struck again yesterday. There was a big, a horse went in the gate, mid double digits. I think it was like 15-16 to 1 and cashed at 6 to 1 during the race. The odds dropped with the CAW money. So something's got to happen to change that for horse racing.
I don't understand. I had him at 30 to 1. What do you mean he's 2 to 1? Yeah, sorry, you lost money. Sorry about that. Can't help you there. What else, Marco, you got rolling today? Any baseball, any hockey? What are you rolling with?
Yeah, we put together, hey, if you've never bought from WagerTalk, we got a deal for you today. My Preakness and All Access package. It's all of my sports plays and my Preakness plays today, $39 for the package. But if you've never bought anything before, for the price of a $2 win ticket, you can get the package. And all you got to do is use coupon code PREAK2. That's PREAK2, and that'll get you my package today for just $2. If you've already bought from WagerTalk and you know the value of an all-access package like that, I got you covered too. I'll give you $10 off that package using coupon code PREAK10. You can get that PREAK10 for today. Get all of our plays, all of our exactas and trifectas, daily doubles. We got a lot of rolling daily doubles, with the races, leading up to it. So jump on board. Let's have some fun. You got a full day of action with horse racing. Keeps you going about every 30 minutes. You get some action.
Yeah, it's coming up here. And hurry up and jump on that, because that computer money could be coming in any moment. And then who the hell knows what's going to happen there. Marco D'Angelo, always a pleasure, brother. Cash them tickets today, man. We'll see you again soon.
No problem. And I wore an ugly shirt for you, Joe.
I wasn't going to say anything more. I wasn't going to mention it, but wow, that's I am busting out in hives right now. Appreciate that, Marco, as always, my man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you head over to wagertalk.com. Take advantage of that full card here for Marco today. He gave you the coupon code. Do not forget about the picks and parlays package. $1 using that coupon code BUCK, B-U-C-K, over at Picks and Parlays. SM5. Are you guys writing this down? You sharpening that number 2 pencil? SM5 will get you $5. Just have some fun over at Sports Memo today. Go get whatever you want for $5 there using that coupon code SM5. All right. So now we've covered baseball here today. We've covered the Preakness. Now it is time to talk a little NHL hockey, because it's put up or shut up time here. And who better than the man who refuses to lose here, the Prez in the house, ready to talk some NHL here. And Prez, listen, what makes the NHL playoffs so much better than anything the NBA brings out? Because if we're being honest here, Prez, I hope it goes 7. Don't know that it will. But at this point, Carolina is going to have a month off where they play anybody anyway. So what the hell's the difference, my man? What's going on?
Oh, Joe, nice to be here, brother. Batting cleanup. Are you kidding me? We got Gianni at leadoff, Marco somewhere, and then me, brother. And yes, Marco's shirt was spectacular. Ooh. I love how he calls it an ugly shirt when it's literally every shirt in his closet. He just picked a shirt. Mm-hmm. But he has lost weight. He looks good. He's getting healthy. And Gianni looks great too. So yeah, brother. I'm excited, man. 13 straight NHL winners. You're right. I refuse to lose. 19-3 in the playoffs. I'm ecstatic. And I got a lot to talk about in this game.
Well, break it down for us here, Prez, because I know a lot of Sabres fans are on, stay away from sharp objects and high buildings. But I don't know. Can they get it to a 7? What are we thinking?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the side. And I also do want to answer this question from Clint, which is a really, really good question, and where Prez of a better likes Montreal. Let's start with this question. Prez of a better likes Montreal today and doesn't want to lay that much chalk. What are your thoughts about regulation? So let's start with that. And then I'm going to take apart both the side and the total of you guys. But Clint, the question is so interesting because it is so indicative of amateur bettors or like sort of bettors that are trying to do this to enjoy the game, which I totally respect. You want to throw $50 on the game tonight to make it more fun, more exciting? I am with you. What that question says to me is there is no bet on Montreal unless you take it in regulation. So answer that question yourself, Clint. Do you like Montreal in regulation? If you do, make the bet. If you don't make the bet. But you've already told us that you don't like them on the money line and that you think it's too juicy at minus 160. So don't chase. Look, Joe, I'm on a 13-0 NHL run. If I released an NHL play to my clients today, I would make a ton of sales. And yet I'm passing, Clint. I'm saying to myself the same thing you're saying. You know, there is simply no value at minus 165 on the Montreal Canadiens. And I don't think there's enough value at plus 140 on the Buffalo Sabres. So instead, I'm going to bet 2 baseball games and wait until, the next game. We don't have to make a bet on every single game. So the answer to your question is, if you don't like them on the money line and you don't feel like they're a good bet on the money line and you're worried about the regulation line, just pass, bro. Just pass. It's really a pass works. Does it not, Joe?
Best bet you could make is the one that you decide not to, ultimately at the end of the day. So, yes. And, I mean, let's face it here, Prez. It feels like a coin flip, even though the market's not telling you. But isn't that the problem?
So let's handicap the game live on air from a side perspective, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat that if I had to make a bet sidewise, I would take Buffalo at plus 140. Buffalo at plus 140. If I had to make a juicy bet, I would take Buffalo plus 1.5 minus 180 over Montreal on the money line at minus 170, because that guarantees us a win in overtime, regardless of who wins. So if I wanted to make a juicy bet, I would take Buffalo plus 1.5. If I want to make a money line bet, I take Buffalo at 140. So let's handicap this game. So here we have a situation where these teams played 82 regular season games and were give or take 1-2 points apart. Literally, the difference between Montreal and Buffalo over 82 games was 1 win.
Yep.
Now they're in the middle of a 7-game series, and the difference between these two teams is 1 win. And that win, in the last game, Buffalo outshot Montreal 36-26. They carried the play. They dominated 5-on-5, and they could not score a power play goal and allowed 2 power play goals themselves. So the difference in the last game was literally the power play. They couldn't score 2. They allowed 2. So we have 2 teams that are basically even, 2 teams that are playing in a basically even series. The team that lost last game outplayed the Montreal Canadiens, and one of these teams is getting 40 cents. So I'm always going to look to the dog in this situation, Joe. 2 equal teams. One of them is a must win. And it's not like Buffalo hasn't won in Montreal, Joe. They won the last game in Montreal. So I think the play is Buffalo at plus 140 simply because we're getting plus money in a scenario where over 90 games, we got 2 even teams.
Couple of things I saw in this game, Prez, I want to run them by you here. If you like Montreal's team total is 3.5. Every game they've won, Prez, they have scored over 3, right? I mean, they've scored more than 3 goals. I caught on it too late, but every over 1.5 in the first period has gone over. I went out to start the barbecue the other night, and I came in 3 minutes later, and it was 3-2 in the first 4 minutes. Like, what is going on? So, what is that? Or some of those derivative markets we're taking a look at?
Yeah, so I never bet over 1.5 in the first period, but I do like that bet in today's game. I actually like the over completely. I put a free pickup for everybody on WagerTalk today, and I basically told everybody, look, there are 90% of the books have 6.5. However, you can find a 6 at Caesars, at BetMGM, at Circa, at Superbook, at Bet365, at Heritage. So there are 6s out there. But DK and FD have 6.5. And we at WagerTalk are not going to, put in horrible lines like where we get a 6 and everyone else gets a 6.5. Right. I love the over 6 in this game, Joe. My favorite play on board, period, is over 6. So when I'm looking at, say, an over 6 as my favorite play, I'm not going to mess around with the first period because you look at what happened in Vegas and Anaheim. Same exact scenario, right? You had Anaheim in an elimination spot. They were down 5-1 with 5 minutes to go in the game, and they pulled their goaltender. So there was an empty net for 5 minutes. Now, they didn't score on that empty net, but I would assume, and I do not have the stats here, but I would assume that when you have no goalie for 5 minutes, 80% of the time there's a goal on one side or the other. And sometimes there's even 2 or 3 goals, which we saw in Minnesota and Colorado over and over and over again. So if I'm going to take an over in the game, I'm not going to take 1.5 in the first period. I'm going to take over 6 on the game and take advantage of the fact that we're in an elimination spot where we might have 5 minutes without a goal. And on top of that, Joe, we talk about the fact that every game in this series has gone over 1.5 in the first period. 12 out of the 13 games these two teams played against each other has either pushed or gone over 6.
Yep.
So that I would say 12 out of 13 is a better stat, not percentage-wise, but from a betting perspective, than 5 straight. Yep. So I think even the trends suggest that we take over 6 rather than over 1.5. But I do want to make mention about the 3.5 on the over for Montreal, because I do like that play, Joe. Well done. Good catch. And what I want to talk about is, again, the elimination concept. If it is 2-1 with 3-4 minutes to go in the game, there is a very real chance it ends 4-1 and Montreal goes over 3.5. The fact that we're in an elimination spot and the fact that there might not be a goaltender in the net with 3 or 5 minutes at the end of the game, I agree with you, Joe. I like over the total of 6. I like Buffalo plus 140, my least favorite of the 3. And I, like you, agree that over 3.5 with Montreal is the right play here. But with all that said, fingers crossed, I'd like to see a Game 7. There's not much better than Game 7s, especially in hockey.
It looks like Leon's going in goal, too.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Leon, and you know what? He played outstanding in the first round. I mean, he really played phenomenal hockey against the Bruins. And he could step up. So there you go. Buffalo plus 140, over 6, and Montreal over 3.5.
Yep. And there are still 6s, guys. Looking at the odds logic screen now.
Well, it's come down. It's actually come down. There were no 6s last night.
6 at Superbook at our friend Art DeCesar there, and 6 at Circa. So they are priced a little bit, 120, I think, to the over, 125, but their 6s are in the market. So shop around. You never know what you're going to be able to find there, Prez. But I'm kind of with you. I think if you like Montreal, you take the over 3.5 goals as well. I think you correlate all of that.
Joe,
Quick,
go ahead. Sorry. Well,
I want to take a quick look ahead too, because we talk about this all week long in our prediction market segment there with Art DeCesar on the best betting show ever. And you and I talked about it all week. We got a pretty interesting series coming up with Vegas and Colorado. And we've been telling you all week, Prez, like, get Colorado now, because I don't know to win it all that their price, certainly in the predictive markets, are ever going to get better than I think the 40 cents that they're at right now to win it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I mean, listen, you and I do a show every day. It's called The Best Betting Show Ever. It's outstanding. Guys, make sure to watch that show. And really quick, while we're talking about that show, and then I'll go backwards. We got some big news coming with the Best Betting Show Ever. The World Cup starts on June 11th. That's June 11th. It goes for, I don't know, 20 years. It actually never seems like it ends, Joe, to be honest with you. When you're talking about the qualification games, it's just like a never-ending tournament. With that said, Carmine Bianco, probably the world's best soccer bettor, the me of soccer, if you will be on the Best Betting Show every single day during the World Cup with Joe Raineri, myself, and Art DeCesar every single day. He also has written an unbelievable report on the World Cup. You can find that over at his page at WagerTalk.com. So with that said,
also, Prez, I will remind him every day. I want to hear his breakdown of Team Italy heading into the World Cup. Go ahead. I can't wait to get his thoughts on that dumpster fire. Is worse than the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Italy.
But,
so on the series, I've been telling everybody since day one, it's Colorado or nothing. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. Blah 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 blah. Dude, Vegas plus 220 sounds sexy to me. I mean, here I sit going, Colorado is light years ahead of everyone. I can make a case for Vegas. Firstly, under Tortorella, this team has barely lost. Flat out. Correct. They came into the playoffs. I think they were on a 7-1 run. They handled both teams in the playoffs in 6 games. Yeah, sure, they had a couple of bad games along the way. But this Vegas team is not the same team we watched all year long. Firstly, they have found a goaltender in Carter Hart. I love his name if you're a Bostonian. Anyway, firstly, they have found a goaltender in Carter Hart. Secondly, their scoring is exceptional. This team can score from all their lineups. I think Dogiev or whatever his name is like leading the league in goals, even above Nate McKinnon. Mitch Marner is on fire. Mark Stone hasn't even got going. Their defense is set up beautifully. And Tortorella, or as I call him, Arthur Onzarelli, beat the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yes.
He beat the Tampa Bay Lightning with the Columbus Blue Jackets. You go back to the COVID era, and the Tampa Bay Lightning was the #1 team in the league at a historical record. I think they had a better season than Colorado just had. And Tortorella took a bad Columbus team and swept them. I think this is the best coach in hockey. I think they got a team that is really feeling good about themselves. And I think they got a team that is loaded up and down their lineup. Do I think Colorado is better? Yes. Do I think at even money Colorado will win the series? Yes. But man, plus 220, 230, the value's on Vegas.
And I'm on the money line every game. Every game, Vegas money line. They'll sweep them, Prez. They'll sweep them. I love it. All right, so if you got no NHL here tonight, you got, you said baseball locked and loaded, ready to roll?
Yeah, brother. I got 2 baseball plays going, and look, I'm winning in everything right now, Joe. I've had 9 losing days in the last 31 days. That means 2 out of every 3 days, you are getting a winning day. And in those 9 losing days, 4 of them were juice. 1-in-1 days that I lost juice on. My baseball, my everything. everything right now. I'm on a 5-1 run, a 9-3 run, a 52-28 run. Whew. I'm up like 50 units since April 1st. It's really been outstanding. I got 2 baseball plays up tonight. I'm just in the zone, and we know it's going to come to an end, Joe. I understand that I'm not going to win 13 straight NHL games in the next 13. But so long as we're seeing everything correct, we might as well jump on board and play until it turns. And it will turn, just like it will turn for Gianni, and he will start kicking ass again because, my God, is that man talented.
Listen, what goes up comes down, goes back up. It's called the grind, and strike while the iron's hot. So Prez is locked and loaded. Major League Baseball, head over there. It's been a hell of a run, Prez. Enjoy it. We got much more hockey still to come, though, before we actually pull out that Stanley Cup. And unfortunately, maybe it ends up in Canada this year. I doubt it, but you never know. You got to be.
Yeah, it's not.
No, okay, never mind that. All right, it'll stay here where it belongs.
Come on.
All right,
with that said, I love Martin St. Louis.
I do too. I love his clips. They're fantastic.
Get
out of here, Prez. You're done.
Later, guys.
Lots of love. Man. Visit them over at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage, guys. $69 3-day all-access packages for now. $49 over at WagerTalk.com. I, too, locked in Major League Baseball here today. 2 games here tonight. Hurry, take advantage of that because I'm also locked in on the NBA for tomorrow in that Game 7. So for $49, you get 3 days, all plays, all access across the board. Your favorite handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage and go get it done. Shout out to Jimmy Underwood 13, Titan CT in the house, always hanging with us here. AOD. I'm waiting for it, AOD. Where is it, man? Where is it? Pistons in 7? Is that what we're getting, man? I'm waiting for him to write that one in there. Andrew Woj, always a pleasure to see you here, brother. Marcus Spagnuolo, Buffalo has to hold Montreal to 2 or less. Good luck. I happen to agree with you, but good luck with that there. Should be there it is, Detroit basketball. AOD in the house. Always a pleasure, brother. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out the door here, guys. Make sure you come back and join us again next Saturday. Kel will be back in the hot seat. We'll have you covered. Don't forget Marco's Preakness package available. Gianni, the steam room coming up here. A lot going on. Your one-stop shop here for everything about cashing tickets. WagerTalk.com. Enjoy the day, guys. We'll see you again soon here on WagerTalk TV. Good luck.